viewers, Steven here. How's everybody doing? As you can see by my breath, it is freaking cold out here today. But I wanted to get a start on this bad boy, 58 liter keg. We're going to turn this into a brew pot. Now, I've watched quite a few videos. There's lots of videos on cutting out the top and what have you, but I wasn't able to find a complete video from start to finish. So, if there's one out there, I apologize, I didn't find you. But, if there is another one out there, this will be my version. So, you know, you can never have too many. So, let me get my grinder going. I'm going to do some out here. And the rest in the house, because with the wind chill it's like -21, and this is March. Come on, Mother Nature. We're supposed to be getting closer to spring, not holding on to winter. So, anyways, I digress. Let's move the camera and let me show you first thing we need to do. Alright. First thing we need to do is make sure the air pressure is all out of this. Hopefully it's in the camera. Anyways, just take a screwdriver and drive it down into this hole, okay, so that you can release the air pressure, but make sure this is flat. So I don't know if this is going to be in camera or not when I do this, but you don't want any liquid to come out is the key. Ooh, smells like beer. May take a while. Alright. I was looking for my little metal pick, but I don't know where it is. But anyways, you'll find right here there's an edge. Alright, this is just a little metal ring that goes all the way around. I actually want to save this for extra parts, just in case. So, I've seen some videos where they drill a little tiny hole in here and use a little pick to pull it back. Now, unfortunately, I can't find my pick, but that's all part of having a teenage son who likes to play with your tools. Love you, Hunter. Anyways, so if I take a small screwdriver, we'll be able to get this out eventually. There we go. Now, just wiggle the ring out. Before I go to use this again, I'll probably put a little hole in there, but here we go. Hopefully this is all in camera. And yes, I went and got some gloves. Okay, so there we go. That's the ring. Not a big deal. And this should just turn, unless it's frozen. Alright, so the best I can figure, I've got this twisted so that the little tabs are right here and right there, but there might be some ice in here, because once you take that ring off, this should just snap right out. So I'm not going to force it, I'm not going to damage it. Now I'm going to cut out the top for the lid, so let's get the angle grinder and we'll get that going. Okay, so we've got our angle grinder. In theory, if I use the guard and hold it straight, I should be able to cut all the way around. So, let's find out. There we go. Ta-da! Top is off. Now it decides it wants to come out. Oh well. I may save this lid just so I have a cover, but I'm not going to throw it away just yet. Yes, I'm wearing gloves, and I wouldn't recommend you hold the lid like this. if you had bare hands. Alright, so we got our we've got this all open now, and I can't really see the camera, but some pretty rough edges there, so I'm going to grind that up with the grinder and smooth it out, and we'll be back. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to install our element. Here, I have it here. It's a 4500 watt element. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch drill bit to drill the holes, because as you can see, it's not very wide, but we'll get this drilled in. Now, I did some measurement. I'm going to come down 1 inch from this lip, because that's what's between here and the top up here. So we'll come down 1 inch. We'll drill our holes for our element, and let's get this bad boy in. Alright, give it a little punch, just so hopefully that'll allow the drill to sit in one spot. Foot up here and let's drill. Alright, so we got our hole done. Used a 3/8 inch drill bit, and basically did the hole, and then just kind of worked my way back and forth. That element fits in there good, but as you can see, where this is round, I'm going to have to take the hammer and something flat and just give it a little tap just to flatten it down a little bit. Oh, we'll try this crowbar here. Just lay it on. Doesn't have to be much. I still got a little ways to go. We'll be back. Okay, everybody, we're back. It's a little smoother. It doesn't rock as much. So what we're going to do is going to take a marker. I'm going to try and find the center of the slot and make sure this is kind of squared with all the lines. We're just going to draw the circle. There we go. There's my holes. Now to drill them out. Again, it's a 3/8 bolt that we're going to be using. Stainless steel. And, anywho, minor details. We'll come back. Alright, so we've got our 4 holes drilled. And, just as a tip, after you punch it, use a smaller drill bit before you switch to a bigger one. It'll cut through much easier. And hopefully all this is on camera, because I really can't see with the glare of the light behind me. Anywho, stick our element in. Perfect. That's just a 3/8 inch bolt. This isn't stainless steel. I just wanted to see how it would line up. For this part is pretty much done until I go to make the gasket. Now I gotta file up these edges, you know, just so they're a little smooth. So let's get on to our drain hole. Okay, so here's my drain hole. I've already got the hole drilled. Now, I don't have a step-up bit, and this is not much bigger than the hole. So I'm going to take my drill bit. I don't recommend you do this, but when you're in a pinch, anything will do. Oh, and I come up about 1 inch from the bottom, just so I'd have room for washers and whatnot. But again, I don't recommend you do this, but when you're in a pinch, it'll work. Time we get a washer on there and get a seal, it'll be good. Alright everybody, so we're back. Alright, you see we've got our dryer wire here. I've got my element and some screwdrivers and all that good stuff. So, what I'm thinking, this is just an old pill bottle. I cut the bottom off of it. I got the label off, but oh my god, the glue. Ugh. I should have just left the label on. So I'm going to feed this through the wires, and the idea is, okay, I'll hook up my wires, and then this cover, or the pill bottle rather, I'll wedge it on here, like so. Once the wires are down inside and my ground wires coming out out the bottom here, then I'm going to fill this with epoxy. Okay, so first thing, we don't need our white wire, so we're just going to cut it off. We're going to make sure that that gets sealed in the epoxy so that you know, no electricity is coming out of this. So this is very important to make sure that we have at least the epoxy up about a ½ an inch, you know, from where the wire's cut off. Alright, now ground wire, we're just going to leave that separate. And then we just need to figure out how much wire we're going to need to take off the sheathing and then wrap it around our screws and get those tight. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we've got everything done. And just a little tip, I didn't really film this. But I had to make a little slot right in here so that I could get the ground cable out through it. Basically, I just took my this little screwdriver. You could probably be a lot faster if you used a bigger one, but I didn't feel like digging through all my old screwdrivers. But turn your stove element on high, get it nice and hot, and it just melts through the plastic real easy. Just don't use your wife's cutlery. I don't think she'd like it. But anywho, we got our ends cut down. Okay, nice and short. Alrighty, so we've got our pill bottle up here, small end down. We've got our wires trimmed down, and I've trimmed back the casing a little bit just so I can cut the white wire a little deeper. And so we're going to take our element here. And since the screw turns clockwise, we want to feed the wire in clockwise. Give this a little spin in here. Okay, so basically we stuck it in the side and we've wrapped the wire around. Hopefully I'll have an easier time on the next wire, not show it on the film. So we're just going to screw it down. So it's nice and tight, so that stays in there. Alright. Alright, so here we go. This is kind of crude. I should have actually used crimps, but it might have taken up too much space for the pill bottle. But I mean, they're good and tight. They're not coming off. The wires aren't touching. So the next thing is we're going to slide this up here. But the tricky thing is we need to get our ground wire through. So let's straighten this out a little bit and see if I can't feed some of this ground wire through. And since this is a bigger opening, I'll try and come in this way. Yeah, it might work better if I use my right hand since I'm not left-handed. Alright. Took a little doing, but I finally got it to go up through the hole here. And just take a little screwdriver and we'll just make it easier to pull it through. There we go. So I'm just going to continue to pull. And I'm going to slide this down over my electrical connections. There we go. Nice and snug. Pull my ground wire through. And I'll probably take a little piece of tape just to put over here so that the if the epoxy reaches this high, it doesn't start oozing out. So there we go, folks. We're almost there. Now, I'm just going to move this to a different spot so that I can keep it level, straight, and it's not going to move while the epoxy hardens, and we'll come back. Okay, so I've got everything all set up in here. And that's the dryer you hear in the background. So I've got this set up on a couple of paint cans and a light fixture just so that I can try and keep this base as level as I can. And we're going to mix up our epoxy. Okay, this is the epoxy we're going to be using. Alright, it's 5-minute epoxy, but I want it to set overnight, of course. So we're going to mix this up. We're going to pour it inside, and we'll come back. Okay, so we've got the epoxy all mixed up. We're just going to scoop it down inside. Okay, so it semi-filled it. Not quite enough though. But I think it's good enough for the connections. I think at this point I just may get a thing of silicone since it'll be a lot cheaper and a whole lot more volume. But we'll let this set up and we'll come back. Alright, so I've got a silicone bake pan here. I've already cut the corners out. I checked in all of our dollar stores around here, completely out, so I paid $10 for this. But you know what? It's not a biggie, because you can always use good silicone seals. But, so what I'm going to do, alright, I've got my washers that I need. This is for my ball valve. Okay, so I need a couple of those. And these are for my hot water heater element. And I need 4 of these. So I got a little Sharpie with me. And we're just going to take it. And let me see, that's actually a good spot right there. I'm just going to move it up on the side. And I'm just going to circle the inside. I'm going to circle the outside. And we're going to cut it out. Alright, so first one's done, and I just tried it on our end piece here for our ball valve, and it was a nice snug fit. So now I just got to make another one. We'll get some smaller ones done. We're just going to repeat the process. We'll come back when it's all done. Alright everybody, we've got our 4 red little washers done, and we've got our 2 larger ones done. I suppose I could have used a drill and a drill bit to drill these out, but oh well, doesn't matter. Scrap, chuck that all over. And I did check these on the bolts. They're nice, perfect fit. So, right on. And I got this tip from Gash Slug. I'm sure many of you have known him. And I can't remember if I saw it on another video or not, but I'm going to give Gash the credit because I remember him. I got the element finished with the epoxy. I just put a little tape over so that it wouldn't come out the hole, but I'll clean that off later. I'll show you inside. Used 3 tubes of epoxy. The first tube I bought from Canadian Tire, you know, was $6 for that tube. The other 2 I actually bought at the dollar store, and they cost me $1.25 for 5-minute epoxy, the exact same thing. So that's in there good and solid. The only thing hanging out's the ground wire, and that's fine. That's not a problem. So we need to make the seal for this. Yes, sir. So I'm just going to cut a chunk out here in one of the corners, and we'll move the camera and we'll measure it up and get this fitted. Okay, so cut out a little chunk of square, like so. Alright, trying to move this around so I can make sure you can see in the camera as well as I'm doing this. Now, without measuring this, I'm just going to lay this over top. I'm going to just about center it. If I can hold it just right. I'm going to take my Sharpie. I'm just going to go from, oh, it moved, the first element to the other side. Alright, so I can cut a little slot in the center there, and then we can slide it up our element, and then we can mark out our holes. So hopefully that's pretty close to center. We'll find out in a second here after I get it cut. Alright, so we're back. I've got the hole cut out so that it slides down over nice and easy. I'm just going to get this centered here. Alright, so lots of space around the gasket. I'm going to get my daughter to help me. She's going to trace out the bolt holes and the edge all the way around the gasket, and then we're going to cut it out and we'll be back. Alright, here we go. Isn't that nice and purty like? Such straight lines. Huh? Straight my ass. Alright, so slide her up. All the holes seem to match, which is good. It's good my 20-year-old daughter still knows how to trace things out with markers. Anyways, now that we've got all of our washers and we've got everything together, let me go get some wrenches and what have not, and let's put this kettle together.
Yee doggy.
Alright, we're ready for our next step. Alright, I've got the gasket on there. And I'm just going to slide it through the hole. Just like so. Alright, so we have one of our stainless steel bolts. We'll throw in a washer. We'll put on one of our homemade silicone seals. Like so. And we're going to feed it through and try and get that semi-started. Oh, I wanted to put a washer on that. Almost forgot I wanted to put a washer on there just because. Alright, now, I don't want to have that too tight because we still have to get the rest of our bolts and what have you all lined up in here, so I won't bore you with that. We'll come back when I'm done. There we go. Alright, she's all bolted in there, super tight. I bet you she'll be sealed up there nice. Now, the only thing I have left over here is to attach my ground wire, which I should have did the drilling while I was out in the shed. But anyways, I'll grab a drill bit and we'll bolt that down here on the bottom. Next on our agenda is putting in our drain. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put some plumber's tape on this. Now when we screw this in, we're turning it clockwise. So we need to put the plumbing tape on. So it doesn't come off. While we're wrapping. Don't need a lot. I'm going way over the edge. There we go. Alrighty, so we've got our plumber's tape on. I've got my silicone washer. We're going to put it in through our hole. And we're putting on another silicone washer because we want it to be good and sealed. And a washer, unfortunately, if you can see it, it's not exactly perfectly round because they just don't make washers for this size. Alright, now make sure that I'm putting my ball valve on right so that it opens correctly. Really sucked to have this full of water and then realize that you put your ball valve on backwards and you can't get it off. Alright, now we'll grab our trusty wrench. We're back, everybody. Okay, so I made a little stand for my electric kettle. As you can see, there's a little water there. I did my leak test. I had a couple of small leaks. Yeah, I know my ball valve is turned up on the side. I ran out to the shed too many times, so I just twisted it up and you know what? It still functions. So we've got 5 gallons of water in here, or 23 liters. I got my temperature probe in there because I'm also going to test the how fast it'll heat up 23 liters of water. So my new thermometer that I got, it's at 32. Let's plug this bad boy in, we'll start the timer and we'll see how long it takes. Well, here it is, folks. I hit 96 degrees Celsius at 18 minutes and it hasn't gone up past that yet. So 4 degrees. I do have a boil. It's not a super strong heavy boil, but you know the steam's getting in the way. All in all, it's a boil, so I'm happy. It works, and if you made it this long, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm sure this is going to turn out to be a very long video, but it's in depth and it's complete from start to finish. Cheers, Gash. Great job on your video with the electric kettle, and you know, hopefully people will find my video informative as well. But anyways, shout out to my new subscribers. Thanks for joining, everybody. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And if there's anything you'd like to see or have any questions, just shoot me a message in the comment section below. So until next time, be happy.